students, today we're going to start level 1, which is an introduction to the main tools and the workflow. And to do this, we're going to focus on this little basic house, and thanks to that we're going to learn all the tools. So as you can see, the main windows is divided into the menus that you have here, all the tools. You can have more tools by clicking on the 3 dots. Then you have the main space that is divided into 2 parts. The grass that could sometimes, depending on the template, be gray. The sky, and on the right side a few little gadgets. We'll talk about that in the future. So the main problem you'll have is a 3D software, which means that you will need to move around, inside, zoom in, zoom out. So how do we do it? Very important first to see that little guy. Sometimes it might be a woman. Okay. That's going to help you for the scale for a proportion of your 3D model. So if you want to avoid going too far from your model or too close from your model. So how do we do all this? You have 3 axes. The blue axis is the vertical axis, and the 2 others, the green and the red, will be the axis that show you the flat part, so the ground. Okay, so if you follow the blue one, you go up vertically, and all the others are horizontal on the floor. So how do we move left and right? You need to know that each of these tools, or most of them, they have a shortcut, which means that you need to learn these shortcuts by pressing on the keys that you have on your keyboard. So the first one that you need to know is H, letter H. What does it mean? You're going to have this tool that will enable you to go left, right, up, down. That's letter H, the hand. H for hand. O will be the one that will allow you to orbit around. So you can see that I can just orbit around my little house here without any problem. Okay, I could do that vertically or horizontally. What about zooming out? Now I'm too close. You will need to use the magnifying glass that you have over here, okay? Or as a shortcut on your pad, you use 2 fingers, the index and the middle finger next to each other, and you zoom out, okay? Now that we know how to orbit, that we know how to move left, right, up, down, and we know how to zoom in and zoom out, what are you going to do? Let's build this house. To build this house, you need to understand that Google SketchUp can build things or destroy things. Let me show you this very quickly. So Google can help you, the SketchUp can help you to build things or to destroy things. Okay? So it's not like playing with Lego where you build things up. Okay? No. Here it's going to be completely empty inside. Okay, so if I erase one little thing, for example this face, okay, you'll find out that there's nothing inside. Okay, it's not full, it's not solid. That's going to be the main difference between all the others. Okay, all the other softwares that you can have on the market. Then, how do we start? We won't use any measurements. Okay, I'll teach you this in a different level. So we're going to just use basic tools, and we're going to build this without thinking about the size. Okay, I'm going to build it on the right side just to show you the evolution of my 3D model. We're going to use a new tool, R for rectangle, letter R for rectangle, and you can see that there's a little pencil that follows you with a little rectangle that is in a blue color. What do you do with it? We're going to draw a rectangle on the floor, and after that we're going to try to push it up. That's another tool, that's P. So with P you get the push tool, and when you move that push tool over this face here, you can see that it becomes dotted. What does it mean? It means that the push tool can be activated, so I can push it up. Keep in mind that the push tool doesn't work if you're outside the shape or if you are on a segment. It will only work if you are on a face. So we're going to push it up, And imagine now, when you compare my 3D model here, the new one, with the old one, this one is way too wide. Remember that SketchUp can make things smaller, so it can destroy things or build things. What does it mean? If I take the push tool and I go on the side, I can make it narrower, and you can see that I made it too long, so I'm going to use my orbit tool and I'm going to push this to make it smaller. Imagine I want to stop at exactly the same level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push this face and I'm going to place at the same time, oh, it's a little bit difficult, right? And I'm going to push at the same time. Let's change the view. When something doesn't work with SketchUp, just change view and you will see that it will behave differently. So you can see that if I want to have exactly the same length, okay, I just move the push tool by keeping my left finger active, and suddenly now you find out that I have exactly the same length. So let me re-explain that. How do we undo things? Here, by clicking on these little arrows, same than many other softwares, or you can just press on Ctrl Z, okay, like many other softwares as well. So let me show you again that. That's a good little trick to remember. With the push tool, you push, but I want to stop at this level, you press the push tool on that face. Okay. Same if you want to make it taller, smaller, it doesn't matter. You decide of the dimension today. Now, how do we do the roof here? Now you can see that we got a beautiful roof. How do we transform this rectangle into a triangular prism? Very simple. Keep in mind that avoid having anything active. You can see that there are little dots here on this face here at the top. You may have exactly the same problem. Avoid having anything selected when you want to do something new. So what you'll need to do is, there's no shortcut for the black arrow. Okay. Oh, actually, my mistake. You can press on the space bar. Okay. And you can see by clicking once on the grass, any selected things disappear. Now, how do we make the roof? We're going to use a new tool, L for line, L for line, and you can see that that little pencil has a little symbol following it. Right now it's blue, a dark blue, but if I place it on the edge, it becomes a square, a red square. If I place it on a corner, it's a green circle. If I place it on a midpoint, it's a light blue circle. Green circle on corner, red square wherever you want, and then a blue circle, it's going to be the midpoint of any segment. So what do? We're going to go from a midpoint to a midpoint. Very important to go from midpoint to midpoint. You cannot stop here in the middle, because you can see now things following you. If this is happening and you would love to stop, you just press on escape, chip, and it will stop following you. Okay. Anyway, midpoint to midpoint. And now, how do I transform this into a triangular prism, like on the left? I need to select this segment. So how do we select? Again, spacebar, or you click on that little black arrow and you select whatever you want. If you do one click, it will select one segment. If you do two clicks, it will select a whole shape, a polygon, a 2D shape. If you do 3 clicks, it will select the whole polyhedron, or the whole solid, or the whole 3D shape. So I repeat that. 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks. You can see the difference. Okay. 1 click on the face, it becomes completely covered by little dots. 1 click on a segment, and it's all blue. It needs to be blue because now I'm going to change the view, because I want to push this, I want to move, this up towards the sky, okay, by following the blue axis. So to help the computer to understand that, I'm going to use a different view. So click on the orbit tool, and I change the view to see a little bit of the sky. It's going to be easier for the computer. And I use the move tool, M for move. It's a new tool, and this little move tool will help me to just move whatever I want in any directions. The problem is how do I lock it in a specific direction? So while I'm using it, the only thing I need to do to lock it in a vertical position is to click on that little arrow you have on your keyboard that goes up. If I go left, right arrow, down arrow, you can see that each time it's going to use one of the axes. This one, for example, will be the red axis, but in this case I want the top arrow to follow the top vertical axis. Anyway, I decide on the heights. I'm going to stop around here. And remember, use spacebar or the black arrow to click on the grass and avoid having anything selected. What else? You can see here we've got pretty much the same shape, which is a pentagon, and it's like copy-paste a few times. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to try to change the view to make sure it's easier to see what am I doing. So feel free to take your time to really understand H, O, and the zoom. The new tool that we're going to use is F for offset, and F for offset, letter F, and I'm going to pretty much use it in it's a very easy tool to use. You just go on the face that you want to use, and by your left click you can see that you're copying and pasting that polygon smaller or bigger. Bigger would look like that, which would be very strange. And if I make it smaller, you can see that we're getting the idea that we have here. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do that again. You can do it from any polygon. And you can see that I divided it into 3 parts. An easier way would be to just F slowly, another time, slowly, and another time, slowly. Doesn't need to be equal to each other. We're not using any specific measurement. Anyway, push tool, and we're going to push the one in the middle a little bit. Feel free to change the orientation and to zoom in a little bit to be a little bit more precise. We're going to push this one inside slightly, and we got everything done. Okay, let's just double check everything that we've done so far. It looks fantastic. Okay, let's make the stairs that we have here up front. Okay, how do we do it? Sometimes it's not obvious to understand how to build things because we're humans and we think completely differently than a simple software like this one. But the idea is rectangle, and we're going to draw a rectangle here up front. I repeat, doesn't matter the size of your stairs, okay? But we just drew a rectangle here up front, okay? I'm going to zoom on to make your life easier. And you can see that these 2 lines, I really don't want them. So I'm going to use a new tool, letter E for eraser. It's American. And we're going to erase whatever we don't want. When this is done, you can see there are 2 steps, which mean that that rectangle was divided into 2 parts. So L for line tool, and we're going to go from midpoint to midpoint, and now we got 2 steps. And these 2 steps are equal to each other because we use the midpoint. And now I use the push tool, push this out and push this out. You can see that the computer is copying and pasting some segments that we had on other shapes. If this is bothering you, you can just like erase them, and you can do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, what are we missing? The windows. That's a little bit more complex. Okay, so we're gonna do a little trick, which is drawing with the line tool a cross. No? Catholic cross that goes from one angle to the opposite one, and we're going to draw a vertical segment, and you can see that we have the idea of triangular windows at the top and rectangular windows at the bottom. We're going to make it harder, midpoint to midpoint. Remember, if you add more, if you add more details, it's gonna look even better. Now, because the windows, look at any windows around you, there's always a little frame around it. What are we gonna do? You know it, I know. F for offset. And I'm gonna make the frame the way I want. Because I want all the frames to be equal to each other, I'm gonna do the trick that we've done with the push tool. What was it? You go at the top here, you use the offset tool, but you place the offset tool on the previous window, and that will keep exactly the same length. I'm going to do the same here for this window. I'm going to use this corner here to just show that I want the same length. And same here, same here. Remember, the offset tool works when you're on the face, not on the segment. You can see that on the segment it doesn't work. You need to be on the face. And that's it. So, what are we missing? The fun part. Oh, look, there's something selected. I don't want that to happen. I click once on the grass with the black arrow and everything else clear. Let me check. It seems that the computer, you can see that the computer changed for one reason or another. This little part that I pushed in before. No stress if things are happening and you don't have full control of it. Okay, slowly you'll get it. So, what do we do now? B, this is the last tool of the day. B for brushing. Now, the brush tool comes with a window, and you can see the previous colors that you've used in the past. Yours might be different than mine. What you're going to do is click on the second menu, and here you're going to have plenty of different choices. We're going to start with the windows. So it's not about water. What is it? Glass mirror. When you have a color that is divided in half, it means that it's translucent. Okay, so it's slightly transparent. You select it, and then let's click on the windows, and because it's transparent, you can see inside, and it looks pretty cool. And then the rest, you do it the way you want. So you can use any colors, style, okay? So if you want to make bricks, for example, it's not fantastic, but it's still fun to play with to give a very quick style to your house, okay? Just continue and feel free to use any colors and compare it with your friends. That was level 1. And at the end of this level, I really want you to understand the space that you have around, so left, middle, and right. We didn't talk about the right yet, okay? And I really want you to understand all the different tools that we've been going through, which was the letter H, letter O, letter P, letter L, letter F, letter M. So I hope letter B as well. So I hope you remember the meanings of these letters. If not, remember the PDF that I give you with all these shortcuts written to make your life easier. Sometimes you're going to have some little problems. I'm going to go through 2 main problems. Shortcuts are not working, so there's a problem with the shortcuts. That's going to be a main problem that you have on your computer, so I cannot generalize it by finding a magic solution. Another problem that you might have, it's this one. You can see that it's like if my building was completely transparent. That's because you press one day on letter K. K, 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 K. Okay? And that's it.